Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Local Marana. I'm here with Marana Mayor Ed Honea. Good morning, Ed.
How you doing, Clint?
It's great. How you doing?
I am doing extremely well.
Chamber of Commerce weather out there today.
Had a
isn't it?
great week. Went to the fall festival, and all the young families and children came out and rode the rides and picked sunflowers and ate popcorn, and it was kind of a stormy night, but it was a great night for Marana families.
It was. So, building on that, I know what you'd want to talk about this morning. You want to talk about community and values.
What I want to do, I'm going to do my best Alex Haley impersonation. Roots.
Yeah.
And I may not do it as well as him. They may not write a book about it and a movie and everything else, but I want to talk about back to the basics and where we began. And I'll tell you where this started. This week on Facebook, I put a picture of a mature cotton field and a simple statement. This is where Marana started. Mm-hmm. 239 likes, which is more than I've ever had for anything in my entire life. 12 shares.
66 comments.
Yes, and people started talking to each other because a lot of the people that commented on that were people that knew each other back in the day.
Right.
And I got to thinking, well, let's talk about where we came from and how we got here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. I mean, this showed me that people are interested in your roots, your base, your anchor. How did you get started? So I look at things in old Marana, and I'm talking about my youth. I'm not talking about when the town started or anything else, but a lot of things that I look at. And what were the centers of the community? One of the centers of the community was the Community Christian Church, which was a wonderful place, and it was a Protestant church. But there were Catholic members that came to that church. We had a Jewish family that came to that church. And it got me to believing, so you get to meet people that have a different faith or maybe different ethnicity or whatever. Those people are pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're my friends and neighbors. And, and so it started building a culture. Everybody's important. Everybody wants to be treated well, and you should treat everybody well and respect everybody's ideas and everything. And that kind of helped start the culture in Marana when we were very small. I'm going to say North Marana had 500 people maybe back at that time.
And we're talking 50s?
50s mid-50s on. Mm-hmm. And I was a small child. And the neat things that were built there, the most important things at the church, and it shows me how things can be so important and build around it. I took a picture of 4 of your cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But it got a big hit because it was simple. You know what they did at the Community Christian Church? On Friday afternoons, the ladies in the church made homemade donuts. This is back before Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, or any of this kind of stuff. They sold them for a nickel, and it was a fundraiser for the church and their programs. You would have people from all over the valley, every color, every culture, every financial situation. They were standing in line to buy these donuts. And what were they doing while they were standing in line? They were talking about their kids or the baseball game or the football game or what was going on in the region. It was building a community.
Yeah.
Selling donuts.
Yeah. But they were doing a lot more than that, really, weren't they?
But the donuts were just a catalyst
Yeah.
for something much bigger and much better. I was telling you a story a little earlier about a lady named Mary Lopez Baumsberger. The Lopez family is a large Marana family that has been there for generation and generation. In fact, Maribel Lopez is on the school board and different ones. I lived across the street from St. Christopher's. You know who my walking and jogging buddy was back in the day, and I'm a Protestant? Father Nacho, Father Ignacio Bach, from the Catholic Church, who lived right across the street from me there at the church. He and I would go out and run and jog together. We didn't talk about our differences. We talked about the people in the community and how we respected everybody and did everything. So I would go over when they would have their Oktoberfest and they made red menudo. Well, I go in there and it's like, Mary says, well, come on, honey. Do you like hominy? Yes, I love hominy. Do you love the sauces or the juices in menudo? Yeah. And she says, so she gave me a little cup of menudo. I ate the hominy and drank the juice and threw the tripe away. And she said, nah, that doesn't work.
It's not working.
Does it work? So the next time when I came in, they had a festival or something, and I lived right across the street, and Father Nacho and I were friends anyway, and I knew virtually everybody in the church. I'd walk over there. Well, eventually I started eating it, and I ate a little bit of tripe, and to make a long story short now, I'll buy red menudo, eat the tripe, and throw the rest of it away. But it's part of the culture, her Hispanic culture, and how I love that, and what they believed in and what they ate. And, so she got me to eat menudo. And it's bigger than eating menudo. It's buying into the culture.
Right.
The family culture. Lopez family was a large family, still a large family in Marana. Love of family, love of community, respect and love of friends and everything. And that's kind of what we built on. If you take part of the culture of Marana, I talked in an earlier podcast about 1954, we were every shade of the rainbow in the schoolroom, and I don't remember being segregated at all, to be honest with you. And going through the Marana school system, again, building on that base. If you have strong roots and you have a strong base, you can build anything. And some of the young people that came out of that school, some of the young men of color, Paul Robinson, Rookie of the Year in the NFL, came out of Marana High School, class of 63. Cleo Robinson was also a great athlete, and I think he was a probation officer, and he was a professional referee, like in college or professional sports. His grandson is playing for Texas right now and is in the talk for the Heisman Trophy. He was the class of 65 in Marana. His grandson may win the Heisman. Jerry Robinson, younger brother, talk about the three brothers in this family, a young family of color, is head of the Black Chamber in San Diego, one of the 10 largest cities in the United States. It was built out of that culture. Everybody's important. Everybody's entitled to an education. Everybody should be treated correctly.
And we're working together.
And we're all working together. My cousin Rich Hinton, he was a great athlete, all-state as a left-handed pitcher in high school baseball, and Marana won some championships back then. He went to the University of Arizona, and his senior year held the record. I think he was 14-2 for the most wins of a pitcher in a season ever, and that held for about 20 years. And then somebody, I think, did win 15 games or 16 games. Out of that little school, farm kid, out of Marana, things happen. And people grow in the culture. Another person in that class was Herb Kai, who's on our town council, a dear friend.
Yeah.
The Kais have been very successful in their farming and business adventures. They donated the 42 acres that the Veterans Cemetery is built on. Part of the culture. Give back. Be part of the community. I don't know how many of you have been to that Veterans Cemetery in Marana. It's a beautiful place.
It is indeed.
And like I've said, when my time comes, that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But the Kai family, give back to the community, build on your roots, and do things respectfully. So I think that's kind of how we got our start.
Ed gave David and I a tour of the place, I don't know, month ago, 6 weeks ago. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful setting. And I believe last week, and we were discussing this earlier, they had the memorial service for 19 of our veterans that hadn't been claimed. Is that
right? And what happens out there, and there were groups of 50 and 60 over the last few years. A lot of older veterans, World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, maybe even some Vietnam veterans, they lose track of their families, or they come here for whatever reason, and they pass away. Nobody claims their remains. All of these people are cremated, and they put down the information and what they have and that they're a veteran and everything like that. What they do with these remains is they intern them in a place of honor. They bring them out, like you said, 19. Yeah. They'll be in that. There's a beautiful wall there that you can put urns in, or some can be interned in the ground in small spaces and stuff. Those are people that served our country.
I would encourage, if you haven't been there,
right?
If you haven't been there, please go check it out.
But that cemetery wouldn't have been there if it wasn't been for Herb Kai and John
family.
Kai. And that's part of that base. They started back in the days. Treat everybody respectfully, and move forward. So I really think that lives on until today.
I firmly believe that. It's the thing, and we've talked about this again before, we've had a legacy in Marana since the early days,
right,
prior to even one you're talking about, of the community coming together, putting aside whatever differences, either political or social or ethnic, to come together for a common cause for the community. And here we are in 2022, and we're doing pretty doggone good here. And what, the second fastest growing city in Arizona now?
Yeah, second or third. But
there's a reason for that.
Part of it, I think, is the culture.
I know it is.
Don't lose that culture. Be willing to speak to everybody. Be willing to talk to everybody. I was talking to a young woman last night that's running for the school board, and I didn't endorse her. And she had heard that I had said derogatory statements about her and told a friend who told me, and I said, that is not true. If I lived next door to this lady, she might be my best friend. I told her, give her my number and call me, and she did. It's part of that culture.
Right.
I talked to the lady for 45 minutes on the phone last night after the council meeting. I didn't agree with everything she wanted to do, but I was respectful of her. She was respectful of me. We talked about different things in the school, which is so important to our history, and there's nothing more important than our children.
Nothing.
And we kind of agreed to disagree. And I told the lady, if you're ever at a public function and you see me, please come up and introduce yourself to me so I can talk to you. It's part of that culture. It's part of our roots. It's part of something we build on. And I'm not the only one that does that. All of our council does that.
I grew up in a small community in southern Illinois in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and everybody waved at everybody. You drive down the road, everybody waved. You knew if someone was visiting someone if they didn't wave back. You know what I mean? And before they left, they were waving.
Right.
That's the mentality I see in Marana is everybody waves. You find out everybody's kind of related to each other. David and I discovered, or he discovered, he's a member, his wife is a member of the Post family.
Right.
Dating back, again,
Right.
100 years. We're all, and it's kind of cool to be in the world that we live in, fast-paced, and everybody's on a go, and it's still people riding down the road waving at each other.
You know what the wave is now? Is a honk.
Yeah, toot toot.
I'm a walker. As you know, I've said I have macular, so I don't drive it, but I walk around North Marana, and I walk through neighborhoods, and I'll walk up to the post office or over to the store or whatever. I'll be walking along the edge of the field, and a car will go by. Beep, beep. I throw up my hand to wave. They're waving at me.
Yeah.
They know who I am. It's Ed from down the street. Honk, honk, how you doing? That's the wave.
So if you're riding around in Old Marana, as we call it, the downtown area, and you hear all these horns, it's because Ed's out walking.
No, but I mean, it's a thing of, hey,
Yeah.
how you doing today?
Yeah.
I don't even know who's in the car.
Yeah.
I don't see that well. I may see the car, but that honk, honk is recognizing, hey, Ed, how are you today?
And you know, Marana, for anyone that might not be here or know what we're talking about, it's a growing city, and I mean, it's modern, and it's kind of crazy when Tammy and I come to work in what we would call Eastern Marana, which is more developed. You see people all the time running early in the morning or getting their exercise in, and what you just said, we're cruising along La Cholla, a lot of honking going on.
Use that base, use your roots, talk to everyone. I made kind of a new friend, Patrick Kavanaugh, who ran for the town council. I did not support him. I supported the incumbents that I knew, Republicans and Democrats, by the way. I called him after the race, thanked him for having the courage to put himself out in front of everybody. You know, it's
tough,
scary to run for office.
Yeah.
Are people going to vote for me? And it might not be whether they like you or not. It's whether they agree with your ideologies or whatever. Talked to him for a long period of time. Seemed like a pretty decent guy to me. And I said, hey, you know, if we have a place on the forum or on one of our committees, would you be interested? Well, yeah, I would like to get involved. Yeah. Just because somebody is your opponent doesn't mean they're your enemy. Build on your roots. We were different, but we all accepted each other, and we're going to have differing ideas.
So, where do we go from here? I guess would be my question to you now. We've got this legacy behind us, and it's great.
Right.
How do we extend that, Ed? How do we? I know it's kind of basic, and yet there's more complications.
I think you grow from the legacy. And you grow using the same mindset. You know, we go to the parks. We're friendly with everyone. Our children play sports together. And it doesn't have to be sports. It could be drama or orchestra or something in high school. Some kind of events that we all get together because our children or grandchildren are in a play. Or they're playing in a softball game or a baseball game. Like you said, you made some of your best friends going to watch baseball games with your kids or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Let's continue to do that.
Yeah.
Let's continue to do that.
Which means we got to continue to invest and reinvest in those areas, in other words, the children, the school, the churches, the community centers, the recreational centers, the parks.
The community center is just a growth of the roots, the community, the respect. And when we were talking about it's a place where older people can come and walk in the morning or evening and feel safe. It's a place that our children can come after school and feel safe and have Wi-Fi. or get a drink of water or have a restroom till parents or grandparents can pick them up. It's building off of those roots, maintain those roots, and make it accessible to everybody.
Okay, tell me real quick, because I was just out there this morning. Where is that community center going to be built?
It will be built right next to the Marana Health Center,
Okay.
between Marana Health Center and Station 36 of Northwest Fire. We own that 5, 6, 7 acre piece there, the town.
So
We,
near the
people,
municipal building, in the general,
yeah, you could walk
in the
there from
general
the municipal
area.
building in 2 minutes. And it's going to be built right there.
Now, how are people going to honk at you when you're in there walking?
Well, I like to walk the fields and stuff like that. But again, even that is building on our roots and our working together.
Right.
In that small area there, you're going to have this beautiful new recreational center that we hope to have done by 2024. I don't know if we will, but that's our
So
date that we're looking
maybe
at.
within the next 2 years that'll be completed.
Yeah, 2.5 years. But you've got Northwest Fire's administrative building and Station 36, their largest station.
Now, is that the one we just opened?
Yes, yeah, the new administrative building.
4 months ago.
You got the Marana Health Center main office, although they have 17 locations around town. And you got the Marana Behavioral Health part of the health center main office, which is really needed right now because we have so many people, a lot of it because of the pandemic and stuff, and being locked up, and a lot of young people need behavioral health. You got the town of Marana, main office administration. You got the town of Marana Police Department. And if you walk 2 blocks down the road, you have the Marana Public Schools Administration building. It's that community church on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Community together. And, you know, one of the things we have and we've learned from our roots, and I'm not talking about just me, it could be Patty Comerford or Herb Kai or John Post or whoever, is I don't think most of us care who gets the credit.
Yeah.
If the school could do something better than the town, if I can help you financially or with a place to have the event or something like that, we're going to help you, because if you do better, we do
all
better.
do. Yeah, amen.
Same with the fire district or the health department or whatever. You know, I speak at the behavioral health graduation at the Marana Health Center about 3 or 4 times a year. These are young men and women, all groups and ethnicities and everything else that have either had drug or alcohol or even emotional health problems. They come through and go through a 8-step program, and many of them are able to get back into the world, get a job, go to school, and function. Well, they say, well, why do you go speak at that event? Wow. If that 10 or 12 people in those quarterly graduating classes become more active in their family or their church or their school or their job, benefits Marana.
Yeah.
It's part of that community. It's part of those roots that people do things. And everybody has something to offer. And I think that's why Marana is growing so fast. Some of it's location, and some of it's the way we operate, of course. But a lot of it is the culture that people are moving into.
That's unquestionably.
Yeah.
Again, I don't live in Marana, but I wouldn't live anywhere other than Marana if I didn't live where I live. How
you know
about
what,
that?
Clint? You spend more waking hours
that's
in
true.
Marana than you do in Oro Valley.
There's no question.
And I love Oro Valley and
Yeah,
have many friends up there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, your days from early morning till dark most of the time are spent here.
Oh, without a question.
And you go to Oro Valley to sleep.
You got me.
You know, so you kind
got
of
me.
do
Yeah,
live
I do live
here.
in. You know, I love it here. I mean, I love the community. David and I and LTD have been actively involved in this community since we started back with Copper Creek Cookies. There's a lot of things that we're actively involved in right now. Some of the the propositions that we have on the ballot right now. We'd like to see some of
wow.
those things happen. We're working with the local fire department right now, encouraging people to 310, vote for 310, to better equip our firefighters, in this case, our local community. But I am a huge cheerleader for the town of
Well, I'll tell you,
Marana.
since we're talking about some of those, 491, which is the school district's override. I'm kind of a right-wing guy, and I don't support a lot of overrides or taxing type things, but I did support this. I sat and talked with people at the school, and I talked to parents in the community. We are growing so quickly. We need a place for our children to go to school. And we're running out of room. You know, some of the other places in Tucson, they're shutting schools down. Not in Marana. Our biggest problem is some of our schools are too big. And if Marana School District does well, the town of Marana does well. Building on that culture and the roots. If a young family wants to move to the Tucson region, go to work for Raytheon or some of the bigger companies, a lot of those people live in Marana. Why do they choose Marana? Lucid Motors up in Casa Grande. I said a lot of those young families are living in Marana. Why did they choose Marana? We don't have a perfect school system, but we have one of the best in the region.
Well, as I shared with you in one of our breakfasts or conversations, the reason Tammy and I live where we live and moved our family because our kids were young, and my mother was here and sister was here, and we were trying to get closer to family. And at that time, and I'm talking 2002, so we're talking 20 years ago, without a question, the Marana and Amphitheater/Oro Valley school districts were the best in the state.
Right.
According to greatschools.net or whatever that was. And so we made a conscious choice to either move into Marana or Oro Valley. And, you know, for the record, I live about that far. You can't see it, but I'm holding it up. I'm right on like the line. So I get the best of both worlds.
I have relatives going to CDO right now, and they love it. It's a great school.
These are great schools here, and I think that's part of the reason why these communities up here have thrived.
But a lot, again, it's roots and culture.
There's no question.
Young families from Lucid or Raytheon move to Marana for reasons. Great schools for their children.
Yep.
So if the school does well, the town does well. Northwest Fire District, Deputy Chief Brian Keeley and I are good personal friends. We have lunch together a couple times a month. And we talk about, you know what, Brian, if you do well and people feel well about emergency health services and fire protection and the things that you provide and do, they teach CPR classes. They do things in the community. If Marana does well, even though we don't have a property tax, when somebody builds a house here or a business here, the schools and the fire district do benefit from that. If the fire district is doing well, the town of Marana is doing well. If the health center is doing well, the town of Marana is doing well. If the school district is doing well, the town of Marana is doing well. Building on that culture of community, and I think that's why we've been so successful today.
Hey, there's no question Marana's doing well. There's no question about it. And as we come to the end of this episode, a great deal of that has been the culture that was laid down again by your parents, your grandparents, this current generation of leaders. And one of these upcoming episodes, I want to talk about developing that next level of leaders. But I also want to encourage any of our listeners or viewers, if you have a question for Ed Honea, drop it in the comment section. Send us an email. Send us a text. We'd love to address any questions or concerns that you may have.
I might tell the people that are listening to the podcast, tell your friends. This is number 6 You know how I tell it's number 6? I have 6 of these Marana polo shirts that are different colors.
Yes.
I'm to the last
Your
one.
last
I'm
one.
to number 6 now.
That's funny because I said to them the other day, I said, Ed is on point. We haven't seen a repeat shirt in this bunch. And I know because they're colors.
I have 6 of them, you know. And this is the last color.
Hey, come on, Town of Marana. We got to come up with some fuchsia
well, I have
and some
long
pastel.
sleeve ones now, but what I'm saying is tell your friends.
Yeah.
If they want to know about culture in Marana or history in Marana, or people cooperating and collaborating, or they want to know about water, or they want to know about parks and trails, go listen to the podcast. I didn't do all that stuff, but I've been around when it did happen. And I can give you that information. And I think you would enjoy some of that.
I know you would.
And again, like I said, 382-1908. My office number, 382-1908. Call Linda. Or if you have my personal cell phone, call me
Give him a
up.
call.
And I would love to talk to you about our community and what we're building here.
Yeah. Hey, just real quick, we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up with Ed and the Town of Marana. We're getting ready to announce some new stuff. We're going to make some of these formats easier to reach. You'll be able to get easier access to the podcast. We got some stuff we're planning for next year, so we're really excited. Thank you, Ed, again, a whole bunch for coming
It's always a pleasure, and there's nothing I love talking about more than the community of Marana.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be the town.
Yeah.
It's our entire region.
I'm with you. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.